Hello, and welcome back to the very last mermaid video of May. In today's video, I am going to be showing you the last and final parts that need to be put on to this drawing of the week. If you haven't been please, that's my son in the background. He's playing computer games, and that's nice from the screen. He is home. It is Saturday today. But anyway, what I was saying is we did all of this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday is now uploading. We're going to be this will be available for you to watch on Sunday. So if you're watching here on Sunday, thank you very much. Hopefully this is a good Sunday for you, and you've had a good week. But what I was saying is we do this every single day. It's on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. If you haven't been checking it out, guys, sketching is Monday, Tuesday is inking, and Wednesday is colouring that one in. And then we go to the digital version, which you can see here. I did show you how I shaded all of this last time, how I coloured this, and I went live for the construction lines when we did this one here. But I don't do the colouring, and I don't do shading, and I don't do the last few parts to this, just because you see them a lot better than is if I'm using the camera you're seeing here, watching me on. And that has been done. So if you want to see how each of these stages were done, again guys, they are up in the playlist, or they are somewhere over there. There will be links that will appear here, and there will links be appearing up here occasionally. So if you want to see anything, guys, don't forget to click those links. See how we got to this stage here, because this is the final and last stage. We're going to be colouring in the treasure, which is down here. We used a lot of different tools and textures and shading tools. Most of the time I'll be using digital ones, but there are effects that you can use. Actually, we'll be using these ones down here, these lighting tools, and texture tools if needed. If you guys are here to listen to the rest of the what's she called, the Sea Lady, then we'll be listening to that one in a moment. Again, normally you'd have a cinematic thing going up in here watching that whilst I draw, but that unfortunately is impossible at the moment. I did try doing it in the last video, but there was such scatting and so much of the recording was corrupted, and I'm just kind of do it this way for now until I get my second screen again. I'm actually working on my television at the moment to do all of this, what you can see, and it's actually really handy. I can even sit on my sofa and do it. So yeah guys, definitely worth getting yourself a mouse like that. But if you want to see again on any of the stages, click the links, because we went from construction lines to shading, construction lines to colouring to shading, and all good stuff that goes on along with that are all on different layers, and each layer has a different meaning for different things. I'm going to go to the list layer here because I want to start with putting in some light, and I want to go to the effects tool here and start colouring in. If again I'm being too fast for you guys and you want to slow this down, don't forget you can pause and rewind as much as you feel possible, and to check anything out. Again, this is recording, guys. Unfortunately you can't leave me a comment live, but you can leave a comment down below. Scroll all the way to the bottom and leave me some comments. Otherwise I'm going to get on with the Sea Lady and finish this last picture of this week. If you want to see any more, or if you've got any suggestions for next week, let me know in the comment section.
Quite unsuspecting.
Turn that up as well.
5. Chatteris was leaning against the railings. He started violently at Melville's hand upon his shoulder. They made awkward greetings. The fact is,
again, if you haven't heard the rest of this playlist, guys, it is available on every video.
Don't apologize, said Chatteris. I'm glad to have it out with someone. There was a brief silence. They stood side by side, looking down upon the harbour. Behind, the evening band played remotely, and the black little promenaders went to and fro under the tall electric lights. I think Chatteris decided to be very self-possessed at first, a man of the world. It's a gorgeous night, he said. Glorious, said Melville, playing up to the key set. He clicked his cutter on a cigar. "There was something you wanted me to tell you." "I know all that," said Chatteris, with his shoulder towards Melville, becoming obtrusive. "I know everything. You have seen and talked to her several times." There was perhaps a minute's pause. "What are you going to do?" asked Melville. Chatteris made no answer, and Melville did not repeat his question. Presently Chatteris turned about. "Let's walk," he said, and they paced westward, side by side. He made a little speech. "I'm sorry to give everybody all this trouble," he said, with an air of having prepared his sentences. "I suppose there is no question that I have behaved like an ass. I am profoundly sorry. Largely it is my own fault. But you know, so far as the overt hiccup goes, there is a certain amount of blame attaches to our outspoken friend Mrs. Bunting." "I'm afraid there is," Melville admitted. "You know, there are times when one is under the necessity of having moods. It doesn't help them to drag them into general discussion. The mischief's done. You know, Adeline seems to have objected to the presence of this sea lady at a very early stage. Mrs. Bunting overruled her. Afterwards, when there was trouble, she seems to have tried to make up for it." "I didn't know Miss Glendower had objected." "She did. She seems to have seen ahead." Chatteris reflected. "Of course, all that doesn't excuse me in the least. But it's a sort of excuse for your being dragged into this bother." He said something less distinctly about a stupid bother and private affairs. They found themselves drawing near the band, and already on the outskirts of its territory of votaries. Its cheerful rhythms became insistent. The canopy of the stand was a focus of bright light. Music stands and instruments sent out beams of reflected brilliance, and a luminous red conductor in the midst of the lantern guided the rat-a-toot-tat of a popular air. Voices, detached fragments of conversation, came to our talkers and mingled impertinently with their thoughts. "I wouldn't have no truck with them, not after that," said a young person to her friend. "Let's get out of this," said Chatteris abruptly. They turned aside from the high path of the Leas to the head of some steps that led down the declivity. In a few moments it was as if those imposing fronts of stucco, those many-windowed hotels, the electric lights on the tall masts, the bandstand and miscellaneous holiday British public, had never existed. It is one of Folkestone's best effects, that black quietness under the very feet of a crowd.
They be able to use the lights all there, so
only a remote suggestion of
use
music
one.
filtered to them over the brow. The black-treed slopes fell from them to the surf
I'm not
below,
going to be able to use that either.
and out at sea were the lights of many ships. Away to the westward, like a swarm of fireflies, hung the lights of Hythe. The two men sat down on a vacant seat in the dimness. For a time neither spoke.
Okay, that might work.
Chatteris impressed Melville with an air of being on the defensive. He murmured in a meditative undertone, "I wouldn't have no truck with them, not after that. I will admit, by every standard," he said aloud, "that I have been flappy and feeble and wrong. Very. In these things there is a prescribed and definite course. To hesitate, to have two points of view, is condemned by all right-thinking people. Still, one has the 2 points of view. You have come up from Sandgate?" "Yes." "Did you see Miss Glendower?" "Yes." "Talked to her?" "I suppose. What do you think of her?" His cigar glowed into an expectant brightness while Melville hesitated at his answer, and showed his eyes thoughtful upon Melville's face. "I've never thought her," Melville sought more diplomatic phrasing, "I've never found her exceptionally
There we go, guys.
attractive before.
There's just,
Handsome,
with
you
a
know,
few
but not
tools,
winning.
done.
But this
Hopefully,
time she seemed..."
It's good enough for you. I'm going to add a little bit more colour here and there,
"She
but
is," said Chatteris.
Looks right to me.
is." He sat forward and began flicking imaginary ash from the end of his cigar. "She is splendid," he admitted. "You only begin to imagine. You don't, my dear man, know that girl. She is not quite in your line. She is, I assure you, the straightest and cleanest and clearest human being I have ever met. She believes so firmly, she does right so simply. There is a sort of queenly benevolence, a sort of integrity of benevolence. He left the sentence unfinished, as if, unfinished, it completely expressed his thought. She wants you to go back to her, said Melville bluntly. I know, said Chatteris, and looked again at that ghostly ash. She has written that. That's just where her complete magnificence comes in. She doesn't fence and fool about as the she-women do. She doesn't squawk and say, "You've insulted me and everything's at an end." And she doesn't squawk and say,
so we've got that layer. I'm going to do a little bit colouring on these here. So
she
it's got
won't
that.
have no truck with me, not after this.
No, wait,
she
let's
writes
go to
straight. I don't believe,
I'll find
Melville,
it.
I half knew her until all this business came up. She comes out
treasure.
before that.
There
It
you
was,
go.
as you said, and I quite perceived. I perceived all along a little too statistical. He became meditative, and his cigar glow waned and presently vanished altogether. You are going back? By Jove, yes. Melville stirred slightly, and then they both sat rigidly quiet for a space. Then, abruptly, Chatteris flung away his extinct cigar. He seemed to fling many other things away with that dim gesture. Of course, he said, I shall go back. It is not my fault, he insisted, that this trouble, this separation has ever arisen. I was moody, I was preoccupied, I know. Things had got into my head. But if I'd been left alone, I have been forced into this position.
Okay, that's not working.
You understand, said Melville, that though I think matters are indefined and distressing just now, I don't attach blame anywhere. You're open-minded, said Chatteris.
Maybe I should go
That's
higher.
just your way. And I can imagine how
There we
all
go.
this upset and discomfort distresses you. You're awfully good to keep so open-minded, and not to consider me an utter outcast, an ill-regulated disturber of the order of the world. It's a distressing state of affairs, said Melville, but perhaps I understand the forces pulling at you better than you imagine. They're very simple, I suppose. Very. And yet, well, he seemed to hesitate at a dangerous topic. The other, he said. Melville's silence bade him go on. He plunged from his prepared attitude. What is it? Why should this being come into my life as she has done, if it is so simple? What is there about her, or me, that has pulled me so astray? She has, you know. Here we are, at sixes and sevens. It's not the situation, it's the mental conflict. Why am I pulled about? She has got into my imagination. How? I haven't the remotest idea. She's beautiful, meditated Melville. She's beautiful, certainly, but so is Miss Glendower. She's very beautiful. I'm not blind, Chatteris. She's beautiful in a different way. Yes, but that's only the name for the effect. Why is she very beautiful? Melville shrugged his shoulders. She's not beautiful to everyone. You mean Bunting keeps calm? Oh, he and other people don't seem to see it as I do. Some people seem to see no beauty at all, as we do. With emotion, that is. Why do we? We see finer, do we? Is it finer? Why should it be finer to see beauty where it is fatal to us to see it? Why? Unless we are to believe there is no reason in things, why should this impossibility be beautiful to anyone anyhow? Put it as a matter of reason, Melville. Why should her smile be so sweet to me? Why should her voice move me? Why hers, and not Adeline's? Adeline has straight eyes and clear eyes and fine eyes, and all the difference there can be. What is it? An infinitesimal curving of the lid? An infinitesimal difference in the lashes, and it shatters everything in this way. Who could measure the difference? Who could tell the quality that makes me swim in the sound of her voice? The difference? After all, it's a visible thing. It's a material thing. It's in my eyes. By Jove! He laughed abruptly. Imagine old Helmholtz trying to gauge it with a battery of resonators, or Spencer in the light of evolution and the environment explaining it away. These things are beyond measurement, said Melville. Not if you measure them by their effect, said Chatteris. And anyhow, why do they take us?
Well,
That is the
one part.
question
What
I
do you
can't
think?
get away
I
from
like
just
that.
now. My cousin meditated, no doubt with his hands deep in his trousers pockets. It is illusion,
Actually,
he
the
said.
treasure. Let's go down to the
It's a
treasure
sort
level.
of glamour.
Ooh, excuse me, layer.
After all, look at it squarely. What is she? What can she
And
give
we'll
you?
pick.
She promises you vague some things. She is a snare. She is deception. She is the beautiful mask of death. Yes, said Chatteris. I know. And then again, I know. There is nothing for me to learn about that, he said. But why? Why should the mask of death be beautiful? After all, we get our duty by good hard reasoning. Why should reason and justice carry everything? Perhaps, after all, there are things beyond our reason. Perhaps, after all, desire has a claim on us? He stopped interrogatively, and Melville was profound. I think, said my cousin at last, desire has a claim on us. Beauty, at any rate. I mean, he explained, we are human beings. We are matter with minds growing out of ourselves. We reach downward into the beautiful wonderland of matter and upward to something. He stopped from sheer dissatisfaction with the image. In another direction, anyhow, he tried feebly. He jumped at something that was not quite his meaning. Man is a sort of halfway house. He must compromise. As you do? Well, yes, I try to strike a balance. A few good old engravings. Good, I suppose. A little luxury in furniture and flowers. A few things that come within your means. Art, in moderation. And a few kindly acts of the pleasanter sort. A certain respect for truth. Duty, also in moderation. Eh? It's just that even balance that I cannot contrive. I cannot sit down to the oatmeal of this daily life and wash it down with a temperate draught of beauty and water. Art. I suppose I'm voracious. I'm one of the unfit for the civilized stage. I've sat down once, I've sat down twice to perfectly sane, secure, and reasonable things. It's not my way, he repeated. It's not my way. Melville, I think, said nothing to that. He was distracted from the immediate topic by the discussion of his own way of living. He was lost in egotistical comparisons. No doubt he was on the verge of saying, as most of us would have been under the circumstances, I don't think you quite understand my position. But after all, what is the good of talking in this way? Exclaimed Chatteris abruptly. I am simply trying to elevate the whole business by dragging in these wider questions. It's justification, when I didn't mean to justify. I have to choose between life with Adeline and this woman out of the sea, who is death. How do I know she is death? But you said you had made your choice. I have. He seemed to recollect. I have, he corroborated. I told you. I am going back to see Miss Glendower tomorrow. Yes. He recalled further portions of what I believe was some prepared and ready-phrased decision, some decision from which the conversation had drifted. The need of my life is discipline, the habit of persistence, of ignoring side issues and wandering thoughts. Discipline and work. Work, if you like to put it so. It's the same thing. The trouble so far has been I haven't worked hard enough. I've stopped to speak to the woman by the wayside. I paltered with compromise, and the other thing has caught me. I've got to renounce it, that is all. It isn't that your work is contemptible. By Jove, No, it's arduous. It has its dusty moments. There are places to climb that are not only steep but muddy. The world wants leaders. It gives a man of your class a great deal: leisure, honor, training, and high traditions. And it expects something back. I know. I am wrong. Have been wrong, anyhow. This dream has taken me wonderfully, and I must renounce it. After all, it is not so much to renounce a dream. It's no more than deciding to live. There are big things in the world for men to do. Melville produced an elaborate conceit. If there is no Venus Anadyomene, he said, there is Michael and his sword, the stern angel in armor. But then he had a good palpable dragon to slash, and not his own desires. And our way nowadays is to do a deal with the dragons somehow. Raise the minimum wage and get a better housing for the working classes by hook or by crook. Melville does not think that was a fair treatment of his suggestion. No, said Chatteris, I've no doubt about the choice. I'm going to fall in with the species. I'm going to take my place in the ranks in that great battle for the future, which is the meaning of life. I want a moral cold bath, and I mean to take one. This lax dalliance with dreams and desires must end. I will make a timetable for my hours and a rule for my life. I will entangle my honor in controversies. I will give myself to service, as a man should do, clean-handed work, struggle, and performance. And there is Miss Glendower, you know. Rather, said Chatteris, with a faint touch of insincerity. Tall and straight-eyed and capable. By Jove! If there's to be no Venus Anadyomene, at any rate there will be a Pallas Athene.
I think
It is she who plays the reconciler.
there isn't much more to do to this, guys.
And then he said these
What do you think?
words. It won't be so bad, you know. Melville restrained a
think we're done.
movement of impatience, he tells me, at that. Then Chatteris, he says, broke into a sort of speech.
Right.
The case is tried, he said. The judgment has been given. I am that I am. I've been through it all and worked it out. I am a man, and I must go a man's
So
way.
we've got all of the shading done.
There is desire,
all
the
of the
light
colouring
and
done,
guide of the world, a
and
beacon
all
on the
of
headland
the
blazing
light
out.
put in.
Let
We've
it
got
burn,
Dawn
let it
here.
burn.
We've got
The road
the
runs near it
mermaid.
and
We've
by
got the
it.
octopus.
And
We've got the
past.
treasure. We've got
I've
darkness.
made my choice.
We
I've
have
got
ice.
to be a man. I've
And
got to live
Disney
a man and die a man and carry the
to
burden
finish.
of my class
Hope-
and time. There.
I think we're completely done now, guys. So, if you're watching this video on Sunday, thank you very much for doing so. I've been Blut084, BLUT084, Art and Games. And again, guys, if you would like to see how every part of this stage has been done, then definitely click the links that will appear either down here or over there. Hopefully you have enjoyed this one, guys. And this one, actually, I didn't think I would like it at the very beginning. Mermaids are not kind of my sort of thing, but it's another video that somebody asked for. If you've got a video that you would like me to have a go at, then ask me in the comment section, or come over to Instagram, where I will be holding another poll for next week's illustration. So, check it out, guys. Otherwise, come back next time for the next video, which will be something new for next month. Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully you've enjoyed yourself. Don't forget to subscribe and ding the bell for next time. Otherwise, bye for now.